one more team that you wanted to make sure we hit on, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Are they built to have sustainable success in the SEC? Where are you at on them?
I don't even know if they're built to have success, because I talked to these Oklahoma fans. They're like, man, we loved the idea of coming to the SEC, everything that was going to bring. Now that they've experienced it for a season, they want out. You know what I mean? Can they even compete in this conference? I mean, I think that's a fair question to be asking right now. And I think Brent Venables, in any other era, I think it would have been viewed as a borderline elite coach. He may be the best defensive mind. Well, probably you still got to put Kirby over him.
Sure, but he's in that conversation.
Venables is right there with him.
Yeah.
What he did at Clemson and what he's actually doing at Oklahoma. You remember Oklahoma was soft as tissue paper under old Lincoln Riley. They have fixed that, but he's not on board with the NIL. He's not on board with the transfer portal, and that's fine. Most of the audience is not on board with that. But if you're going to be that and you're going to lead this program, that's a huge mistake. Again, that's why I credit Lane Kiffin, because he does these things. Sarkisian does these things. Heupel, they lean into it. I'm just wondering if Venables is built for this. And it's so funny because I talk to their fans. They are totally against NIL because I think they're getting that from their coach. They're getting it from their administration. Yet the way I hear it, I mean, it was Oklahoma that was cheating for 100 years. Now that it's all out in the open, now they're upset with it,
That's the tough part for me around Oklahoma is if we want to hold Brent Venables to the Oklahoma standard, and we should, they should expect to be in the conversation every year for conference titles. They should expect to compete for the playoff and all that because that's what that logo demands. But if we're not going to arm him with the proper NIL resources, it doesn't matter if it's Venables, if it's Nick Saban, if it's Urban Meyer. Like if they don't give him the tools to be able to compete with some of these, big boys across the SEC that they want to eventually beat, like I don't know how you even move forward. It's not a Venables problem to me. Going back to our A&M conversation, now I'm saying it's an Oklahoma problem at that point.
Right. Well, I think this is again, the sport could change tomorrow, but I think the way it is structured today, it's hard to ask people for money when they don't have belief in the direction of the program and the coach. And every Oklahoma fan that I speak to, they like Brent Venables, the guy. They question Brent Venables, the head coach. So they're not giving right now. And why would you? If you're an Arkansas fan, I love Sam Pittman to death. I hope he's there forever. I hope he wins more games. Otherwise, he won't be. But why would you give to that? You're throwing money down a well is what you're doing. Now, if you're Texas, let's go win something. If you're A&M, you're Tennessee, again, we are so close, but we're coming up short. Let's donate. That's where the sport's at right now. And how can you ask Oklahoma fans to give right now?
And I'm not so sure that this isn't the year where they jumpstart some of that belief. Like going out and landing a John Mateer, and I'm sure he wasn't a free 99 price point. I'm sure he probably came with a little low price tag to him. That to me just gives me so much confidence because we talked about it earlier, but last year, just so much that you were hoping for coming into 2024. So much that you were trying to hypothetically put together in your mind and say, okay, if Jackson Arnold plays this way and if the line gels this way. I sat here last year and I said they're going to go 6-6. They could be better if things break a certain way, but they're going to be 6-6. And we caught. I mean, you would have thought that I cursed Oklahoma and just said they're never going to win anything ever again. But it played out how it played out, and I'm changing my tune on them this year because I think you have a lot more that you can bank on. I bank on John Mateer. You mentioned Brent Venables in the defense. I think that that's going to be in a much better place. I'm not saying they win the SEC, but we mentioned Tennessee in the wild card they are. I view Oklahoma in that same way. I think John Mateer is so good, and a lot of people haven't had a chance to see him. I think he could totally change what Oklahoma is in 25, and they could be a 9-win football team.
Yeah, and they may start a trend. You land the quarterback. You land his offensive coordinator. You land his quarterback coach. They're all in Norman now. So you can jumpstart the installation of the offense in the spring. Well, I mean, you won't have to jumpstart it for the quarterback. It's getting everybody else on the same page. Now, the way I understand it, they made him keep the offensive line coach. So that could be a failing. Now, he has a great reputation. So
he's a good track record.
I'm not saying he's a bad offensive line coach, but how does that gel with the offense and the quarterback and the play caller? That's going to be the million-dollar question for Norman. But that's why I'm optimistic if I'm an Oklahoma fan, because of John Mateer, because of the system. It should be a day one install essentially for the key pieces of the Oklahoma football program, which could lead to a lot better success right out the gate on the offensive side of the football. And they just need to be competent on offense. I mean, they were just so bad with the defense they should have with Brent Venables. This could be an 8-9 win team. I mean, this could be the team no one's talking about. that surprises everybody in the SEC next year.
And Mike, you know what happens if they do win 9 games? At that point, the free trial's up. If you're the powers that be at Oklahoma, you put your hand out and you say, "Hey, you want to win some more games? Hey, how about you go ahead and put the money in the bag, and we'll make sure we get you that." But the free trial's up. Subscription is you have to pay for some more wins going forward. The schedule we had up, though, is something to be noted. Michigan, you got to play them. You got to play Auburn, and they're kind of a wild card. Obviously, you're going to play Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Bama. You finish with LSU. They're in the same boat to me as Florida. If they go 9-3, they're in the discussion for the playoff.
Let me ask you this, because this is something that we've talked on our show. October 11th, they play Texas.
Yep.
Is Oklahoma going to be favored in any game the rest of the way?
I could see them. You know what? I'm pretty bearish on Ole Miss. I could see them being favored at home against Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them being favored against Missouri. Tennessee probably is a 2.5-point game. Maybe you lean Tennessee because it's in Neyland. But no, I mean, it's not going to be a bunch of just layups for Oklahoma the rest of the way. And no. I mean, I think they're probably favored a couple of games.
So we're saying probably 2 and 5, just spread wise.
Yeah.
Potentially after October 11th. I mean, good luck. You know what I mean? So you're going to have an astronomically good season, and kind of win 4 of those last 7.
So I guess that depends on how you start. Then, like, do you think you can beat Michigan your second game of the season at home? And
he better.
What is Bryce Underwood in that spot? Right. Can you beat Auburn? Because if they roll into Texas and they're 5-0, and then let's say that you end up beating Ole Miss, you're at 6. You beat Missouri, you're at 7. Yeah, you got to find a way to beat either Tennessee or South Carolina. I mean, I guess we're just talking through the back half of the schedule now. I think that the uncertainty at quarterback, I have no idea who Bama's going to be. I have no idea who Ole Miss is going to be. I have no idea who Missouri's going to be with Bo Pribula. Like, I get the logos are intriguing. I don't trust a lot of those quarterbacks, and Nico Iamaleava, unfortunately, is included in that discussion for me.
How about that September 20th, though? Auburn comes to Oklahoma. Who's under more pressure, Hugh Freeze, Brent Venables, or even you could throw Jackson Arnold into that conversation? Yeah. You know what I mean? What a game.
How about the revenge spot there for Jackson Arnold? The chance to just how do you like me now to the folks in Norman.
He may get his ex-coach fired that day. If they beat him that bad.
Can you imagine the plot there? The Jackson Arnold movie, with that being the final scene where he says, "You didn't believe in me, and now you got to go look for a new job."